20 people, 20 contests, one trophy nobody got to keep. Tonight, we hand out medals for the dumbest way to die at a competition, where grown adults stared at a pile of food or a bottle and thought, I can take more than that guy. Spoiler, the human throat has a strict no returns policy. Stick around because number 14 swallowed a live one. Number 1. We open with a classic because you have to respect the foundational texts of the genre. 4th of July weekend, Custer, South Dakota. Walter Eagletail, 47, sat down at a hot dog eating contest because nothing screams American freedom like racing total strangers to cram tubes of mystery meat down your neck against a clock. Here's the engineering flaw nobody on that stage was thinking about. Your throat is a one-lane road. It carries food down or air up, but it physically cannot do both at once. And competitive eating is essentially a dare to discover what happens when you violate that rule at full speed. Walter violated it at full speed. A hot dog took the lane and refused to give it back. Paramedics came, CPR was started, and the dog declined to vacate the premises. The Chamber of Commerce that sponsored the thing quietly canceled the pie-eating contest scheduled for the next day, which is, I'd argue, the single most intelligent decision made by anyone in this entire video. The lesson the nation briefly absorbed and then immediately forgot. The hot dog always wins. It is undefeated. It will be at your barbecue this summer, smiling. Number 2. Denver, 2017, Voodoo Donuts, the kind of place that displays a maple bar the size of a roof tile in the window, ran a little promotion. Eat 1/2 pound glazed donut, roughly the dimensions of a small birthday cake, in under 80 seconds. And the donut is free. Free. That's the prize. That's what's on the line. Travis Malouf, 42, examined this offer and did some quick mental math. A pastry worth about $5 weighed against, his continued existence on this planet, and concluded the spread was favorable. Bold trade. He tore the thing clean in half, a strong opening move, and started powering through it with the grim, joyless focus of a man who has confused breakfast with the Olympic Games. He paused for a sip of water. He took another bite. And then he hunched over the counter and began pounding on it with his fist, which is not, despite whatever he was hoping, an approved donut processing technique. The donut won the way the donut always wins. Voodoo retired the challenge that very same day, which means a donut shop learned a life-or-death lesson in under 24 hours, considerably faster than our species has managed over several thousand years. Number 3. Fresno, California, a minor league baseball game. The Fresno Grizzlies, and one of those between-innings promotions designed to entertain people who are mostly there for the beer in the parking lot tailgate. The event, a taco eating contest. The competitor, Dana Hutchings, 41, who showed up armed with what he proudly considered a strategy. The strategy was this: he would not eat anything all day, so that by game time, he'd be maximally hungry and therefore maximally dangerous at the taco table. I need you to sit with the concept of fasting to prepare for a taco emergency, because that is genuinely how he approached it. He went in starving, attacked the tacos like they'd personally wronged him, and choked partway through on the very food he was trying to set a record with. He collapsed mid-contest in front of a stadium crowd during the 7th inning entertainment block. And the grand prize he was gambling his life against, the trophy at the summit of this tactical masterclass, was a t-shirt. Not a nice t-shirt, a promotional minor league baseball giveaway t-shirt. His family later sued the organizers, and after all this, honestly, who could blame them? Number 4. Russia, 2009, the festival of Maslenitsa, which marks the end of winter with, among other traditions, an industrial quantity of pancakes. Boris Isayev, 48, entered the pancake eating contest. And here's the detail that elevates Boris above the common contestant. He won. He actually won the thing. He could have stopped. He could have taken his little prize accepted the warm applause of his community, and walked home a champion with a full belly and a fantastic story for the grandkids. But Boris had tasted glory, and glory, as it turns out, tastes exactly like the 43rd pancake, because he kept eating after winning, for reasons known only to Boris, and possibly not even to him. And somewhere around pancake number 43, his body, which had been firing off increasingly frantic internal memos for some time, finally staged a full walkout, and he dropped dead on the stage. He collected the trophy and the obituary on the same afternoon at the same event in front of the same crowd that had just been cheering. 42 would have been fine, Boris. 42 was a beautiful, round, completely survivable number to retire on. Number 5. Connecticut, 2017. Caitlin Nelson, a 20-year-old college student, entered a pancake eating contest staged as a campus charity event. And I'm going to be careful with this one, because the joke here is not at her expense. The cause was good. She was raising money for other people, which is more than most of tonight's contestants can say. The villain in this story isn't Caitlin. It's the fact that an institution full of educated, credentialed adults looked at the words competitive speed eating and fundraiser and saw absolutely no problem worth solving. So here's the cruel mechanical truth. These contests stubbornly refuse to learn. Pancakes are a trap. Dry, dense, and packed with starch. They drink up every bit of saliva and compress into one immovable mass, which means the most innocent, wholesome, grandmother-coated food on the entire table behaves inside a human throat, like fresh-poured concrete. A few pancakes in, her airway sealed shut completely. The takeaway is not she should have known better. The takeaway is that harmless fun and harmless are two genuinely different phrases. And the person printing the flyer for the next one of these should be legally required to learn the difference first. Number 6. Jamaica, 2026. Karen Powell, a 37-year-old farmer, was at a promotional event, the kind a company throws to get its product trending, and signed himself up for the bun-eating contest. Now, on paper, a bun sounds like the gentlest competitive food imaginable. It's soft, it's a little sweet, it is not a ghost pepper, it is not a live cockroach, it is not 6 liters of anything, and that precisely is the trap. Because soft and sweet transforms instantly into dense, gluey, and exactly windpipe-shaped the moment you try to inhale 4 of them against a stopwatch. A chunk lodged in his throat. He fought for air, was rushed to the hospital, and did not make it. The local police classified the death as misadventure, which may be the most magnificently understated word in the entire bureaucratic dictionary. Misadventure. It makes choking to death at a bread marketing event sound like a charming little mishap on a country hike. Somewhere out there is a brand manager who planned a fun, harmless contest to move some product and now has to live with the word misadventure sitting on an official report. The buns, I am quite sure, sold extremely well. Number 7. Japan, 2016, the city of Hakone. A 28-year-old man entered a speed-eating contest built around onigiri, those neat little triangular bricks of pressed sticky rice wrapped in seaweed that look so wholesome on a convenience store shelf. The structural problem with pressed sticky rice is that it is, functionally, a cork. Compact, dense, and just the right caliber to seal a human windpipe as if it had been prototyped in a lab for exactly that purpose. One did. He choked, was hospitalized, and died 3 days later. And here is the genuinely infuriating part. The part that ought to be on a poster in every town hall. Japan already knew. Back in 2002, an almost identical speed-eating death had pushed the country to yank eating contests off national television entirely. An entire nation had already run this experiment, recorded the horrifying result, and posted the warning in giant flashing letters across the whole society. And yet, 14 years later, there was still a stage, still a clock, still a man and a rice ball hurtling toward the same merciless physics. The warning label existed. Nobody reads the warning label. Nobody in the entire history of warning labels has ever read the warning label. Number 8. Romania, 2013, the 6th annual Pleskoi Sausage Festival, a real event honoring a real and apparently deeply beloved local sausage. A 60-year-old man entered the festival's eating contest. Because if you've spent 6 full decades on this earth, why not gamble a few minutes of it inhaling cured meat for sport? He began to choke. And here we reach the detail that drags this out of sad accident and into tragedy of preparation. Because the medic said afterward that he almost certainly could have been saved by a basic Heimlich maneuver. A crowd was right there. Dozens of people, an entire festival's worth of witnesses, sausages in hand. And not one of them knew the most famous first aid move on the planet. The one with its own laminated diagram in every restaurant bathroom in the Western world. So he died surrounded by people and surrounded by sausage. Two things that in literally any other arrangement describe a perfectly lovely afternoon. The festival has presumably since invested in a first aid course for its staff. Or, if we're being realistic about how these stories tend to go, it absolutely has not. And there is another contest scheduled for next year. Number 9. Ontario, Canada, 2006, the Western Fair. Janet Rudd, 32, sat down to play a game called Chubby Bunny. If you've somehow never met it, the rules are these. You stuff marshmallows into your mouth one at a time, and after each one, you have to clearly say the words Chubby Bunny, and whoever crams in the most without failing is the winner. It is a children's birthday party game. It is also, on closer inspection, a remarkably efficient method for manufacturing a choking hazard with your own 2 hands and the enthusiastic encouragement of a crowd. Marshmallows, once warmed and compacted by a mouth working serious overtime, stop being cute individual fluffy cubes and fuse into one dense, sticky, airtight plug. Essentially edible expanding foam. She choked at a county fair on a snack engineered to delight 7-year-olds. And the truly unsettling footnote is that this exact game is still played. Right now, today, at sleepovers and church socials and school fundraisers everywhere, by cheerful people who have never once paused to consider that see how many you can possibly cram in is the precise instruction you would give if you were deliberately trying to produce this outcome. Number 10. Uttar Pradesh, India, 2019. Subhash Yadav, 42, got into a heated argument with a friend. We don't know what it was about. It does not matter even slightly, because instead of doing any of the countless reasonable things adults do to settle a disagreement, the two of them landed on the obvious, dignified solution: a competitive egg-eating duel, 50 hard-boiled eggs apiece, and the winner walks away with a prize of roughly $28 US. $28 for 50 eggs. That is not a prize, that is barely the cost of the eggs. Subhash, a man of unshakable conviction, charged ahead and made it all the way to egg number 41 before his body, now containing the protein output of a modest chicken farm, simply powered down. He collapsed and could not be revived. Doctors recorded the cause of death as essentially overeating, which is a phrase you very much do not want appearing anywhere near your final paperwork. He did technically win the argument. His friend stopped first. So Subhash goes into the record books as correct, undefeated, and gone, which is 1 out of 3, and sadly not the one that counts. Number 11. Bihar, India. Bipin Kumar Paswan, 25, was hanging out with his friends when they issued a challenge the way friends always do, casually escalating an ordinary evening into a contest that absolutely nobody needed. The dare. Eat 150 momos, the steamed dumplings, in a single sitting. 150. Let's just sit with that number for a moment. A reasonable, genuinely hungry adult eats, what? 10, maybe 12 momos and pushes back from the table feeling generous about it. 150 is not a dinner. It is a supply chain operation. It's the kind of figure you blurt out as a joke right before everyone laughs and orders a sane amount of food. But Bipin, 25 and evidently convinced of his own immortality, took the dare entirely seriously and somewhere deep in the back half of that ridiculous quantity, his body filed a formal complaint it had no intention of ever withdrawing. He collapsed mid-attempt and died. There was no prize. There is never a prize in these ones. Just a dare, a number too absurd to be real, and a friend who will be quietly apologizing inside his own head for the rest of his life. Number 12. Florida. And yes, obviously it's Florida. At this point, Florida deserves its own dedicated wing of the museum. 2012, a reptile shop called Ben Siegel Reptiles ran a contest it called Midnight Madness. The challenge: eat as many live insects and worms as you possibly can, cockroaches very much included. And the grand prize is a python, a live snake. That is the reward sitting on the table. Edward Archbold lined up against 20 or 30 other competitors and absolutely dominated the field, out-eating every single one of them. Roach after roach, worm after worm, with the laser focus of a man who really, truly wanted a free reptile. He won. He was the undisputed champion. And then, moments after his moment of triumph, he began vomiting, collapsed, and died, with the official cause listed as choking on the contents of his own stomach. Here's the part that makes the medical examiners shrug helplessly. Not a single other contestant got so much as queasy. Dozens of people ate the exact same bugs that night. Only the winner died. He paid the ultimate price, and he didn't even get to take the snake home. The snake, last anyone checked, is doing absolutely fine. Number 13. Brazil. A resort, the kind with a sparkling pool and a relentless cruise director energy, decided its guests urgently needed entertainment and settled on a hands-free watermelon eating contest. The rules are precisely what they sound like. Face down in the fruit, hands clasped behind your back. All dignity surrendered at the door. Eat as fast as humanly possible like a raccoon who has discovered a picnic. Carlos Sarasama committed to the bit completely, which is genuinely admirable right up until the exact second it stops being admirable, because somewhere in the frenzy of face-first melon, he choked. And this is where the resort really distinguishes itself, because the staff, the actual paid professionals running the event, mostly just stood there and watched. A fellow guest stepped in to attempt CPR. An amateur, doing the job that nobody on the payroll was apparently prepared to do. It didn't work. So a poolside party game, a thing designed to generate a funny photo for the hotel's social media feed, generated a body instead. Nobody at that resort had a plan for the single most predictable failure mode of a speed eating contest, and so the most predictable thing in the world happened. Right on schedule, poolside, in the sun. Number 14. Missouri, 2001, the one I promised you back at the top, and let me assure you, it does not disappoint. 45-year-old man was out by the water with his friends, a few drinks deep, when he reached in and grabbed a live perch, about 5 inches long, fins and all, still very much alive, and very much objecting. Now, a sober person looks at a live fish and thinks, lunch, eventually. After some cooking, this man looked at a live fish and saw an audience. He turned to his friends, announced the words, "Hey, watch this," which are statistically the 4 most dangerous words in the English language, and the unofficial motto of this entire channel, and dropped the still flapping fish head first, straight down his own throat. The fish, reasonably, did not consent to this arrangement. It was fighting for its life, fins flared out like a tiny living grappling hook, and it lodged in there and would not go down and would not come back up. He asphyxiated. Both of them died, technically, so I suppose you've scored a draw, except one of them did it deliberately to impress 3 guys at a lake. The fish holds the moral high ground here. The fish was simply minding its own business. Number 15. California, 2007. A radio station, in its eternal quest for free morning show content, dreamed up a contest called Hold Your Wee for a Wee. The rules: drink as much water as you possibly can, refuse to use the bathroom, and the last person standing wins a Nintendo Wii. Jennifer Strange, 28, a mother of 3, entered to win the console for her kids. which is the genuinely heartbreaking part, and drank nearly 2 gallons of water live on air. Here's what makes this one different from the rest. People knew. Listeners literally called the station on air in real time to say you do understand that water intoxication is real and that this can kill her, right? And the show, sensing comedy gold, kept the contest rolling. She finished. She went home with what she thought was a headache, and she died of water poisoning. Because flooding your body with that much water faster than it can shed the salt is a genuine documented way to die. And the prize for this impromptu medical experiment was a $300 game console she never even collected. Her family later won over $16 million from the station, which is the universe's way of pricing a punchline that should never have been written. Number 16, Spain. Joaquin Alcaraz, 45, stepped to a beer drinking contest with the easy confidence of a man who has, presumably, drunk beer before and lived to tell about it. The challenge came down to volume and speed, and Joaquin answered it emphatically. 6 liters of beer in 20 minutes. Let me translate that into terms a human nervous system can panic about. 6 liters is roughly 12 pints. 12 pints in 20 minutes works out to about a full pint every 100 seconds, which is not drinking. That's plumbing. The human liver processes alcohol at a stately, unhurried pace that it has absolutely no interest in renegotiating just because someone has placed a trophy on a folding table nearby. And the human stomach has a maximum working capacity that is very much not 12 pints of liquid in under half an hour. He slammed into both of those hard biological limits at exactly the same moment. He won the contest in the narrow technical sense that he outdrank everyone present. And then his body quietly presented the invoice, and the invoice came to everything he had. A spectacular victory, followed immediately by the worst refund policy ever devised. Number 17. Russia, 2003. A shop, hoping to drum up a little business, ran a promotion with a prize so perfectly, catastrophically on brand that no screenwriter would dare invent it. Whoever drinks the most vodka, the fastest, wins 10 more liters of vodka. Read that one more time. The reward for nearly killing yourself with vodka was a small private lake of additional vodka. The target demographic was not, shall we say, a mystery. The eventual winner threw back 3 half-liter bottles, 1.5 liters of spirits, in one furious sitting, was crowned the champion, and was then poured into a taxi and shipped home, where he died roughly 20 minutes later. He did not survive long enough to collect his 10 liters. Several of the runners-up, the people who lost, ended up in intensive care, which means in this very specific contest, finishing in second place was the strategically superior life choice. The shop's director was charged with manslaughter. Everybody lost this one. There were no winners, only a leaderboard of medical outcomes, sorted from worst at the top to merely terrible at the bottom. Number 18. China, 2023. The setting is an office party, a phrase that already strikes low-grade dread into the heart of every working adult on Earth, but this particular one came with a twist. The boss, the actual boss, the man with direct authority over everyone's salary, bonus, and career trajectory, offered 20,000 yuan, real money, to any employee who could outdrink him. Just sit in the position that creates for a second. Your superior has personally converted getting catastrophically drunk into something adjacent to a performance review. One employee accepted the challenge, and to claim the prize, speed down a full liter of strong liquor in about 10 minutes flat. He was rushed to the hospital and did not recover. So a man died trying to win a drinking contest that was organized, judged, and personally entered by his own boss. Which is, when you lay all the pieces out on the table, about the darkest conceivable answer to the question, so, does your team do anything fun together? Nothing says healthy corporate culture quite like a fatal dare issued by the same person who approves your vacation requests. Number 19. Kenya, 2025. A man named Duncan was out with friends, and the evening took the shape we all recognize. Drinks then more drinks, then somebody says the words "bet you can't," and a casual night quietly mutates into a competition with no judges, no rules, and no clearly marked exit. The contest was simply who could drink the most, the purest, most stripped-down version of the entire format, shorn of even the flimsy excuse of a prize. There was nothing to win. No console, no cash, no trophy, no python, no 10 liters of celebratory follow-up vodka. Just the chance to be, for one single night, the friend who drank the most. A title that comes bundled with zero benefits and exactly one extremely serious drawback. Duncan claimed it. He outdrank everyone at the table, then collapsed, and could not be revived. And that's the thing about these no-stakes versions, the ones powered entirely by pride and momentum. They're somehow the bleakest of all. Because when you go hunting for what it was actually for, what he traded his entire future to win, you come up holding absolutely nothing. The prize was bragging rights, the bill was final, and it was paid in full. Number 20. And we close out right where we found our single most cautious nation, Japan. 2004, the town of Fukusaki. Woman entered a speedbread eating contest, which sounds almost quaint, almost wholesome, right up until you remember that everything in this video sounded quaint until the autopsy. Dry bread is one of the all-time great choking hazards precisely because it presents itself as so harmless. It soaks up every last drop of moisture in your mouth and converts into a dense, claggy paste that grips the throat and flatly refuses to be swallowed or coughed back up. She choked, and she died. And her death became part of the growing pile of evidence that finally pushed Japan to do the genuinely unthinkable and ban eating contests from television entirely. A rational, adult, evidence-based piece of public policy. An entire country looked squarely at the data and said, yeah, no, we're done here. This is enough. And the rest of the world looked at that exact same data, nodded along thoughtfully, and then went right back to handing out trophies. We are, as a species, painfully slow learners. Which, conveniently for me, is absolutely wonderful for this channel's content schedule. 20 contests, 20 trophies that nobody actually got to keep. And if you watched all the way through, you already spotted the pattern, because it is almost insultingly consistent. A voluntary game, a cheering crowd, a throat that simply ran out of room. And then, again and again and again, the same fatal blank space in the room. Somebody standing right there, close enough to help, who did not know the Heimlich maneuver. That's the actual genuinely useful thing buried under all the sarcasm tonight. So let me say it plainly for once. Go learn the Heimlich. It takes 10 minutes online. It is, statistically, the single most likely way you will ever save a human life. Quite possibly the life of the very idiot standing next to you at the barbecue. Okay, lecture over. If you enjoyed watching Natural Selection pull a double shift, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next batch. And down in the comments, do two things for me. 1, tell me which of these 20 most thoroughly earned their spot tonight. And 2, be honest, because we're all friends here. Which one would you have actually entered? Don't lie to me. We've all glanced at the hot dog table and quietly thought, I could take these people. That right there is exactly how it starts.